and that's why I say that the only time that I ever fail in it is if I give up.
Yeah.
Because it's not me ever thinking that it's like, oh, I'm never going to reach my goal. So it's like, I'm just going to whatever and letting go of it. But it's no, I'm going to baby step this all along the way. And I'm going to be the healthiest version of myself that I possibly can be while I baby step it. But I'm choosing to never give up and never just, let myself go, let my spouse go, or just kind of like stop working on the improving. It's like, hey friends.
Hello.
Happy New Year's Eve.
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
This episode is releasing on New Year's Eve, which is super fun.
Yeah.
Because our topic is all about new year, new marriage, kind of that like New Year reset.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about New Year's?
Well, it feels like it's a built-in reset.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's not necessarily a reset, it's an opportunity to look back. So I like that it's just built in. It's not that you have to come up with it. It's just there. It's happening. You're going into something new. So I that's what I like about New Year's. And I get time off from work, so that's great.
That would probably be the biggest bonus.
Yeah, that's huge, actually.
I love New Year's just because I love the intentional like get together. You usually get together with friends. You're having a celebration. I love to celebrate the things that you've maybe achieved, the things that it's like you're looking forward to. So I love the goal setting and the celebration of a New Year's.
We've been to some good New Year's parties.
Oh my gosh. Like
so fun.
Because it's just such a great, like, I don't know, like I love honoring where we've been and where we want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the funniest things that just came to my mind is, remember the first New Year's that we got together with like a lot of our friends, and we all came over to our house, and one of our friends had the grand idea of taking pine cones, and I can't remember if we wrote something on them, but then we threw them in the fireplace.
Yes.
But then we didn't realize that pine cones like smoke a lot.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
our whole house like filled with smoke.
Yeah, I mean it there was a lot of great. Oh, that's right. We did it in the fireplace. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. We like did something with a pine cone, and then we all like every family took it as a family and threw it into the fireplace. So we had like probably like 8 pine cones,
which
festering in the fireplace.
I think they're still burning.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably why we don't use our fireplace anymore.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And,
But
it was meaningful, right? At New Year's. There's a point of looking back and really attaching yourself and remembering what went well, what you accomplished, what you want to celebrate,
and what you want out of the coming year.
Yeah.
And so, but also with New Year's, I know for you, New Year's has been kind of like this, like, I don't know. I think for you, goal setting is kind of hard, so that it can be filled with like a lot of pressure of just like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so what do I have to do? It's like the to-do list of like all the things that you quote unquote need to do. And then okay, well, am I going to feel like a failure if I don't like complete my goal? Has that been true for you?
Oh, always been. It's always been like that. This is one of even as we were kind of studying, kind of getting ready and preparing, it really made me reflect on, wow, I'm going to go on our podcast and I'm going to be talking a lot about, hey, to prepare for this coming year and stuff like that, and how that has not been easy for me. Coming from, we planted our own church, and there we had to be intentional about how we went about setting goals and stuff like that, and being pastors, we needed to do that. So I had to get over my fear of failure, though it's still there. We found methods that were more meaningful in the sense of you have a goal and it never really turned out like you thought it would. But
does life ever?
No, that's true.
Like, right?
And that's true. And I am a 100% a proponent of goals because I see how valuable they are. My hurdle has always been not wanting to fail because I want to do it good. I want to do it right. And if I don't have a perfect path on making sure it's good and right, I want to avoid it. And so
Yeah.
that's always been my challenge.
I think it's really hard because there's so much pressure around New Year's. It's like most people have like the goal of like, I want to lose 800 pounds,
Yeah. The
and
resolutions.
yeah. And then it's like by January, like 10th, it's like, screw that. I'm
Yeah.
over it, and you so quickly move on. But I think we can just agree that there is no like quick fix
Hmm.
to any goal, anything that you want to achieve in the new year, whether it's losing weight, whether it's like creating a new marriage, like having a renewed passion within your marriage, like every single goal that you set, there is no quick fix because if there was a quick fix, it's like we'd all be buying it.
We
We'd all be
absolutely
doing
would.
it. It's like, there's that huge craze of like the GLP-1s and it's like that can help you lose weight fast, but it's like they're not really like teaching on the once you get off of it, like what happens afterwards. And so it's like either we choose to like have those quick fixes, but they're not long standing and they're
Hmm.
not going to carry you for years upon years, or we're just kind of like, oh, let's not even fix it. Let's not even go there. Like, let's not even touch those
Which
things.
I would say many people do that. Many people I'm just not going to worry about it. And it is what it is. I am who I am,
Right.
and you accept me for who I am.
Right.
And us as couples, marriages, relationships going into the new year, there's an opportunity. Like there's a built-in opportunity. And yes, you talk about resolutions, and I've done a message before about having resolutions is difficult because
When
if
you
you
say message, you're talking about a church
yeah,
message,
yeah, when
right?
I like a sermon
Yeah.
I've given, and the whole point was it's difficult to have resolutions because we always look back and regret if we don't do them. So by January
Right.
14th, we look back because we failed to work out every day, 6 hours a day, and then it's filled with regret.
Right.
And change has never been about instant success. Now
Hmm.
you can have those, but it's rare, and that shouldn't be the platform, or that shouldn't be the goal, or that shouldn't be the normalization of what change looks like. And so change and the opportunity to change, especially at the new year, it's all about intentional progress. We always talk about, everybody always hears this, progress, not perfection. That is the point of making change in the new year. Is it's all about being intentional about something that you and your spouse, you and your significant other have decided is important for your relationship. Not the book that somebody told you your relationship needs to look like this, not what somebody else said needs to be the way that you need. No, it's the goal, or it's the place that you want to arrive at, that you and your significant other have decided, yes, for us, we need to be moving towards this. And progress to that is success. And
Hmm.
so, because marriage, it's not like it needs to be a new marriage. It's improving on what has come to this point. You look back in the old year and you look at what's good, what's bad, and now what you want to grow in, and
Hmm.
then move towards that. This isn't supposed to be a black and white thing. This is hey, let's come together. Let's talk about what went good in the new year, or what went good and bad in the year in the past. And then based on that, on how that has formed us, who do we want to become together in the new year? It's not a this has to be different.
Right. It's like, I think one of the first like points of conversation between you and your spouse can be, okay, so what are some things that we want to intentionally bring into the new year? So,
Yes.
so what worked really
Yep.
well, or where did we see that it's like, oh, that really gave us joy, that gave us like peace, that gave us white space on our
Yeah.
calendar, like those types of things of what do we want to bring into the new year, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like we're really like focusing on like that emotional like growth and that emotional place of where our relationship grew because of this.
Yeah.
And so what is that we're going to bring? I think sometimes we just focus on what we want it to be, but we're not recognizing the things that we are doing that are working, that are successful. And let's actually just feed into that and grow that a component, because when we grow that component, the ones that aren't working for us will kind of fade away.
Because it has to be a two-step approach. You can't just stop doing things that didn't work and just hope for the best in the future.
Right, that's good.
You have to decide, these are the things that helped us. Let's work on those, and then let's start coming up with other things that would maybe be similar to that would help us grow together. But you can't just not do things that hurt you. That's not the end. That's the first, that, okay, we have to stop doing those things. But what could we either continue to do or start doing that will bring us to a new place of growth?
And also like individual growth, right? It's because it's like we're not always growing together. Like I have like my own personal goals and you have your own goals.
Likely not.
I was giving you
But,
grace.
I mean, we can't intro that and then be like, I have all these. Like, no, I'm growing.
So I have a lot of goals.
You do.
But I'm also growing individually, and then you're growing individually. So it's like also nurturing like our own personal growth.
Yeah.
Like also helps us to grow together also. And it's, where did I show up for myself? Where did you show up for yourself? Where did I show up for our marriage? Where did you show up for our marriage? Because again, we're just going to keep on like rehearsing and like pointing out the fact that communication within marriage is so vital. It's like, if you're not having communication within your marriage, then I would say that's the first place to start.
Absolutely.
Start building on that.
Just start there.
And also reflect back on, okay, so what were we doing? Like, so if you have a marriage that maybe doesn't have the best communication, asking yourself, what were the points in our marriage that we did have really great communication?
That's good.
And nurture those. Like, it could be like, okay, did we actually have a really great conversation when we were on a date? Did we have a really great conversation when we were in the middle of conflict? Like, what are the places within your relationship that you did have that really great communication? And really focus on, okay, so what kind of environment created that, so that we can be intentional about duplicating those types of scenarios. Now, we don't want to constantly be duplicating conflict in order to have good conversation. But
something always comes out of that. It's important to it. It's important to not focus, but it's important to grab that and say, this was, even though we had this conflict, because I mean, I would almost say even in conflict, this is kind of off to the side, but you come out stronger when you do it well. The conflict wasn't the problem. How you go through the conflict can become the problem. And so looking back and saying, man, remember this time where we had, even us, we had a huge blow up in the middle of the year that we can look at and go, man, what did we gain from that? And we gained a new perspective of how we operate together, how you carry yourself in certain times, how I do the same thing. So
and how stress really impacts our communication and our relationship. I think that was the one thing that we really came out of that stress and like tension within our own personal lives really spills over. So how can we best support each other within those stressful points of our relationship?
And I would also say, especially for our faith friends, is when you're reflecting on where you've been, be very prayerful about it, because the Lord could really bring up in you areas that not that you need to work on, though that could happen, but it's also areas of celebration, right? Celebrating the progress and not looking back and going, man, I didn't do this, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do this, but actually celebrating, well, where I was on January 1, 24, well, I'm a whole lot better, or January 125, I'm a whole lot farther. I may not have gotten where I wanted to or where I thought I should be, shitting all over yourself. But you made progress, and then celebrating that.
I love that, because I think we get caught up in only celebrating when we've reached the outcome that we wanted, but not recognizing, okay, like this week I found success in this, or I went, 2 steps like in a particular direction. For me, like I've been really like working on like some of like my like, my own negative self-talk.
Hmm.
And it's like I've been really intentional
You
about
have.
even bringing you into the
Yeah.
conversation, because normally I work on things, especially when it comes to like my own like mental health and like self-talk. I kind of do that like on my own. But I think it's been really great to bring you into the conversation, because not only have I noticed you even exhorting me more
Mm.
in the areas that I struggle, it's creating a level of intimacy, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing good on my mental health today,
Hmm.
or like my negative
Mm.
self-talk is higher. And what it does is it immediately brings out like this like emotion within me that like helps us have that level of intimacy.
No, totally. No, and that's great, and it has been because, and I love celebrating the things that you're trying to improve. Or I love celebrating the things that you're trying to be positive on, and
Because it's not about the outcome. I'm never going to arrive at the place of where I've totally mastered my negative self-talk and my like mental like rehearsing of the things that I ruminate on,
mhm.
but I can celebrate the progress
Yeah.
of those things. And it's like, gosh, we missed celebrating the progress.
No, and what's interesting is that our philosophy in faith in life is all about the journey, and we know that we're never going to arrive,
And
and
the
so
messy.
yeah, the messy, the journey, and
Yeah.
so it's easy. It's easy for us to celebrate the progress, but we live in a culture that generally only celebrates the goal. So
Yeah.
if you reach the goal, you're
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, you're on your way. You'll make it. Don't worry. And it's like, you know what? I've made it very far,
Yeah.
and that's not to reduce the the hard work that it takes to reach goals, that
Hmm.
to celebrate that, and that's not to reduce that any. But sometimes we miss the celebration of the journey and the progress that was made, because sometimes that journey, just to get as far as you did in whatever you're trying to achieve, that was a lot longer, a lot harder, and a lot tougher than you thought when you once made the goal of, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And so not celebrating that is not doing yourself any good. And in fact, it's not strengthening you in your encouragement to then finish what you started.
Right. And I think too, it's like I'm even just reminded of, we celebrate the
Yep.
progress. We don't, because we may not ever arrive there. I think we've learned more about ourselves in the long middle of the journey
Hmm.
and of, the in between. For me, like I'm always on a health and wellness and weight journey. And I have also come to the terms with like I may not ever reach like my ultimate goal, but it's like I'm starting to become okay with that,
Mm.
because I'm the only time that it's like I'm ever going to fail at it is if I give up.
And even as you say that, I think an important note to say is you need to be in a healthy mind space to be able to make that call, because sometimes tell me if I'm wrong. Sometimes you can come to that place and say, I'm satisfied with where I go, even though I won't ever, I don't think I'll make that goal that I want. You Sometimes I could find myself using that as an excuse to not try.
Right. And that's why I say that the only time that I ever fail in it is if I give up,
Yeah.
because it's not me ever thinking that it's like, oh, I'm never going to reach my goal. So it's like, I'm just going to whatever, and letting go of it. But it's no, I'm going to baby step this all along the way. And I'm going to be the healthiest version of myself that I possibly can be while I baby step it. But I'm choosing to never give up
Mm.
and never just, let myself go, let my spouse go, or just kind of like stop working on the improving. It's like, it's like that 1 degree, it's like they always say, like the ship, that it's like if you just are 1 degree off course, eventually you'll end up in like
Yeah.
completely off course.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why it's like, it's okay to celebrate the like, even the little mishaps. Like
Yep.
I've learned so much through my mishaps. And it's like, and I think that also like that goes into like the next part of like, what do we want to leave behind? What
Mm.
are those mishaps? What are those things that maybe we noticed in 2025 that
Yep.
we were like, oof, like that wasn't the best.
Yep.
I know for me personally, I need to do a better job at managing my own personal stress
Mm.
because my stress spills over into us, into my relationship with my kids, into my relationship like with everyone
Mm.
in my life because I when I'm stressed, I it takes a lot for me to get stressed, but when I do, my emotional capacity goes to zero.
Yeah.
And it goes there pretty fast. And
Yeah.
it's like I don't even recognize that it's happening. Like my stress gauge is pretty short. And I know for me, I have to do a lot of work ahead of time to make sure that I never get to that point.
No, totally.
So I need to be making sure that I'm working out. I need to make sure that I'm actually taking my breaks from lunch or taking my breaks for work. I need to take a lunch at work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I need to be, you know, not just working 10-hour days and just not giving myself those like reprieves. I need more white space in my calendar. Like those are the types of things that it's like I need to let go of and I need to be more intentional. That takes time and it takes effort to let go of those things and not bring that into 2026.
It really does because it's normal, right? It's your default. It's
Right.
what you're doing, and when you're taking time to look back, you're looking at 2025, and well, for one, you have to take this time out to even reflect. Many
Mhm.
people don't do that. Many
Right.
people, it's just New Year, whatever. It just, I hope it gets better
Next,
and move on.
You just move on to like it's just a day and
Mhm.
it's like and it's like a momentary reset, but then it's like you just get on the hamster wheel again.
Absolutely. So, it's really good for, relationships to be looking at the behavioral patterns that were present in your relationship. Like,
Mhm.
the way that you communicated with your spouse. How did you do
Mhm.
during 25? Were there things that you remembered not doing well? Things that you did that served you, that served your marriage, that you can take going forward, right?
Mhm.
But it's identifying those things that you definitely want to leave behind. Were you more defensive this year because of certain things? I know that I just recently, about a month, I had a span of time that I was just very short and defensive over everything. Didn't take, we usually have a light relationship, and I was very stern and short and didn't have patience. And it's like there's something in that you need to look at. And if you find that in your own relationship or your own self-awareness, which self-awareness on its own is a tough thing,
Right.
but once you gain it, if you can look back and reflect on how you were with your spouse, with your family, with your kids, and really take away what was good, but also you have to identify what didn't work so you can leave it behind. If you don't identify the
Yeah.
things that weren't working, you can't leave them behind. So it's so important to be able to do that. And as we always do, we always want to encourage our listeners to be kind to themselves. This is not about how bad you did.
Mhm.
This is all about the things that didn't work, the things that you would want to do better with, and identifying the things I don't want to be like that. I'm going to be like this.
Mhm.
And it's important to be able to focus on maybe even replacing, old patterns with new responses. So if you had a pattern like mine, I was as short as this, well, it's deciding, okay, I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to replace it with I'm going to respond something like this or something like so. So it's really I think it's really important to. I mean, even coming up with maybe questions, just kind of conversational questions. As you're sitting there with your spouse or something like that, and it's like, what patterns or did
Mhm.
you see any patterns in us that hurt us last year? Was there
Mhm.
anything that you saw that didn't really serve our marriage? And then actually, I love this question, is what are we deciding not to carry forward?
Yeah, that's good.
and naming it.
Yeah.
What are we, not me, you,
Yeah.
what are we not carrying forward? Because there's something powerful when you're both on the same page about something in unity, and then taking that together, leaving it and taking something else forward is so powerful in those moments.
Yeah, I think that there's so much emotional weight that it's like we don't actually like recognize. And so, in those questions, recognizing like, are there disappointments that we've experienced in the last year?
Name them.
Or is
yeah.
there a disappointment that I experienced within our relationship? And trying not to take things personally, because when you're having
Yeah, I'll try that.
conversations on a neutral on a neutral platform, though, like you're not angry, you're not in the midst of a conflict, and you're just being like, yeah, like I was kind of disappointed in this aspect of our relationship. I think it helps to be able to have that like calmness to where it's like, I mean, I know for us, it always helps the other spouse to be able to receive it more. It still might hurt a little bit. Like, we're not saying that all of these things and all of these conversations are always going to be so easy and that you're never going to get hurt or wounded, but really going in and intentionally like posturing yourself to help yourself not to try to get defensive or emotional about the things, but recognizing that it's like when we expose them, it's like there's that scripture in the Bible that talks about like, it's like sometimes the Lord brings things to the surface so that he can kind of like refine it. It's like when gold is at its purest state, it's because it's been heated so much and the impurities rise to the top, and then you sweep the impurities off. And I think that that's like such a beautiful picture of having these intentional conversations before you're in conflict or in the heat of the moment, because you're just bringing them to the surface and you're allowing your spouse to hear it. And then together you can sweep those imperfections off to the side, because then your relationship and your communication becomes more pure, and it becomes more holy, and it becomes more intimate. And that's why we're always saying, talk to your spouse, have conversations, communicate.
Yeah, the momentary potential pain is a lot easier to take than years of resentment. And
Yes.
that's one thing that I get the sometimes the desire or kind of knee jerk reaction to not want to talk about something that's going to be painful.
Yeah.
And I'm more like that. So I get that. I really get that. But what I'm learning in time is discussing it. Oftentimes it doesn't go the way that you think it's going to go, and so it actually ends up being a really a sweet connected moment, assuming you bring it to the surface with some grace. But the long term negative impact to your relationship when not talking about these things is far worse than bringing them up and either being awkward or uncomfortable or scared. Far worse. And I'll say every time it's worse. And so in bringing those things up, there could be, as you're reflecting, there could be, maybe there's, and maybe this is an agreement that you make with your spouse. Hey, we're not going to dredge up things that we've already discussed and forgiven. And this is not the time to be like, well, since we're talking about it, remember when you, and like how that really, and it's just like, well, we just spent a month and a half in therapy 9 months ago to, like take care of there's a way to go about, because remember, you're trying to move forward together. That's the point. You're trying to move forward together, and tearing down is just not going to get you anywhere.
We've been in a lot of therapy in the last like couple weeks, and I think one of the most valuable things that I gleaned from that was staying present in your emotion, not blaming.
Yeah.
So
very important.
So I do think that when you're having these conversations, making sure that you're staying present in your emotions. So if you have disappointment, you can say, I'm feeling disappointed by this, not because you did this to me. It's like, it's like you can talk about a certain situation, but make sure that you're still staying in the emotion
Yeah.
of it and how it affected you, not blaming or
Yeah.
accusing
When
or
you
yeah,
when this happened,
right.
this is how I
Th-
felt.
this is
Right.
how
Yeah.
I
It's
felt. This
very
is how
important.
it made me react. This is the trigger from maybe my past that it cued into. And again, all of this takes effort and it takes intentional,
Yeah.
reflection. Like you can't just pull these things out of thin air. It's like you really do have to go inward
Take
and
time.
you have to take the
Yeah.
time. It takes energy. I know that in the last couple of weeks that we've been so exhausted emotionally because we're having to pull things and heal them, and we're talking about them. We're working through them, and there's just been a lot lately, but it's like I know that today we're in a much better place than we were a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And so for that we're super grateful.
And when you're doing this reflection as well, one thing to make sure that you know mentally is you're leaving patterns behind. You're not leaving people behind. So if
That's
there
good.
was something along
Yep.
the way that you were saying, this is not going to be part of our kind of whatever our relationship or whatever. Remember that you have to be intentional. It's the behavior or it's the pattern that I'm not going to do that anymore. It's not, well, Susie or Steve, I'm leaving them behind because whatever. So it's important that it's the pattern. And I would encourage also, as a practice, as you are doing this reflection over the last year, is being vocal in it's the naming what you're going to name one thing you're going to leave behind,
Mhm.
and then as its alternative, also name that.
Mhm.
It's a good practice to be like, I'm going to leave behind defensiveness, and I'm going to move forward with acceptance or
Mhm.
openness or not taking things so personal, like
Yeah.
all of those things. I think that's a really great practice to do. Because it almost instills it in your mind when you say it.
Mhm.
I'm leaving behind this. I'm going forward with this.
And one of the cool things that we've kind of developed is we created a worksheet that you and your spouse can walk
I'm
through.
excited about that.
I know it's such a great resource of what are you going to, leave behind. It has like a couple conversation questions. You have work that you do individually, then you come together and you discuss it.
Yep.
And then it's also what are you going to grab a hold of and bring and cultivate into 2026. So what are you leaving behind? What are you cultivating? And then also we're going to talk about like a word of the year.
Our favorite part.
Which
And we're gonna link that. We'll probably link that in the show notes. We'll put it on
we'll link it
social
on
media.
on the show notes. It'll probably
website.
be on our website.
Yep.
So make sure to just stay posted
Yeah.
on social media and or go to our website after this. We'll have it very obvious because this is such a
Great
great
tool.
tool for the new year.
Absolutely.
It's a 6-page little workbook. Take what is beneficial for you, throw away what's not beneficial for you. But let's talk about the word of the year, because the word of the year has been something that we probably adopted, like 12 years ago.
About
And really what it is it's just a word that we believe is, Holy Spirit inspired.
Yep.
So we believe that it's from God, and what it does is it anchors you for that year.
Yep.
And so do you remember any of your words of the year? So
perseverance. I know I had one for perseverance. I had another one that was equip.
that was a good one. Like some of my words of the year have been like intentional, letting go. I think I had one that was about, I don't remember the exact word, but it was about, oh gosh, what's the word? I can't remember the word.
Yeah, of course.
But it was all about,
well, while you think of that, you continue to think of that.
it's going to drive me crazy.
I'm sure it will.
Okay. Anyways.
Well, no, I wanted to go back because when we say that it's from God, what we mean is we take time to pray, to reflect, and we feel inspired by a word that kind of comes over us. That doesn't mean that someone who isn't of faith couldn't do something the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But
Yeah.
we highly encourage to do through the Lord. But but this is our way. And so when we pray and we take time to reflect, there's just something that, it's a process you go through, which we'll kind of run through, but it is something that we feel the Lord already sees in advance of where we're going to be. And it's almost like where he's going to take us. And sometimes the word's like, I don't know if, and it's wonderful because you find yourself there, but I just want to bring clarity to that.
No, that was really good, because this isn't just a faith-based thing.
Correct.
Like just,
it's not even a faith-based thing. We've turned it, we attach it to a faith-based thing.
Yeah. And I would say that nearly every single year that I've had a word of the year, I've went into the year thinking that it was going to be this thing.
Always.
And then it ends up being something completely different.
And more beautiful, actually. Generally.
Yes. I remember the one year, it was probably one of the worst years of my life. My mom had been diagnosed with cancer, and my word of the year was like it meant like a shedding and a lightness, and it was just going to be like this beautiful, like, and then it was like, I think it was in May that my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And I was just like, what in the world is happening? I'm like, okay. I heard that completely wrong. But what I did learn through that year was that I needed to be anchored in those little moments of ease, of reprieve, because it was going to equip me for the heaviness that was coming. So it wasn't going to be that this year was going to be light and easy and breezy, but it was going to be, I needed to really have those moments of light, easy, and breezy to equip me for the heaviness that was to come. And it was like, I needed 15 minutes of easy breezy in order to carry on for the next 5 hours.
Yeah.
And so it was the word of the year I thought was going to be one way, and it ended up being something totally different. So one of the spins that we're kind of encouraging our listeners to do this year is coming up together with a word of the year for your marriage.
Your marriage.
So what do you want to set the intention for in 2026 for your marriage?
Yeah, because it can also be a phrase if you want it to be a phrase, but the idea is that this short phrase or this word encapsulates where you want to go and what you want to achieve. Now,
right.
There is no hard and fast rule for the word of the year. It could be, I remember in our church, we did the word of the year, and then we'd have we loved it, have a chalkboard, and everybody would write their words of the year. And it was so, because it gives you a language to talk to each other, like, hey, how are you doing on your journey? How's it going on your da, da, da? And it was wonderful. But anyway, the idea is try to capture with one word or phrase where you're wanting to go in 2026. If you're a faith-based friend, then you're praying, you're praying together, because it's not because you can have individual words. Honey, I'll have a word, I'll have a word, and then we'll have a word for our marriage. You have a word for work if you want. But the idea is to keep you going, and it's a compass. That's the important part. It's a compass. It's a direction that you're going. And the wonder of going on the journey of how that, because I guarantee it. You pick a word, you go for it, you will find at the end of the year that your journey led you to exactly where that word is.
Yeah. You can, I know for me, this last quarter of the year, I created a word just for the last 4 months of the year, because I knew that we were walking into a pretty intense season of just, we have things with the podcast coming up. We needed to be really intentional with work. We got a couple new clients in our side business. And so we needed to be really intentional in this last quarter of the year. And so I created a word just to kind of keep me focused. And the word was forge. So it's all about me forging ahead. It's me also forging in creating and coming up with, ideas, and coming up with a workbook that is for couples to use as a tool at the end of the year. That's part of me forging and creating. And what it does is it helps me to, when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling, just burdened by all the things that I have to do, I had just have a sticky note on my computer that says forge. And it reminds me, oh yes, that's right. I'm on mission. I'm moving forward. I'm forging because I set that intention. So it creates this infusing of energy into the things that I'm doing for me to be able to overcome those hurdles and obstacles when they come.
And that's the whole point of the word. The whole point of the word is always having in front of you. It's to give you direction, is to give you focus. It even helps you with decisions. I mean, it gives you a vision that you can walk out. And that's why you spend time really thinking about it. Where do I want to go? You could have 10 goals that you put into one word that to you, and this is the importance. If your word is courage, your word for courage could be different than my word for courage, because to you, courage means these 10 things. To me, courage meant 3 things. And so what's beautiful about the word is that that's your word. It's how you define the word. It's how you think the word's going to come through. And so now every material decision throughout the year, every direction that you want to go, you have that word in mind, and you go, okay, in this life decision, I'm going to choose the one that gets me closer to that word, that courage, or that whatever my word of the year, because it is a directional. That's a good way to think. It is a directional word for your life for the next 12 months. And you may ask, well, how can I come up with that? How can I come up with that now? Well, that's the beauty of it. You start now and you go, this is where I want to go, and that's the word. And you come up with whatever definition that will feed that word, that makes you know that this is where I'm going. And then now your life for the next 12 months is now on point, on vision. We've been using mission. It's on mission, your mission, the mission between you and your wife or you and your spouse. And then that's the direction. So when you're making decisions together as a couple, you're both looking at that vision going, well, it's whatever our word is. It's our courage. It's our faith. It's whatever the case may be.
And let me give a practical illustration of how that would look like in your marriage. So let's just say we're going to use the word courage. So in our marriage, we would have the word courage. And so now conflict has risen. We're arguing, arguing over, I don't know, you looked at me weird. I was overworked. You didn't do the dishes. Like we're just passing each other. We're not feeling connected. Yep. So my problem and my issue in our marriage is that we're not connecting. We're not feeling like we're having that intimacy. So I'm coming to you but I'm immediately just irritated. I'm like, gosh, I just can't even stand the fact that it's I have to do the dishes for the 18th time and you're not helping me. I'm overworked, I'm stressed, and I'm at my wit's end. I'm like, can you please just help? And you then meet me with, conflict. And so now we're in conflict. A way that courage could come into play is all of a sudden one of us is reminded of the word of the year. And it can be okay, how can I show up in courage in this moment? Yep. How can you show up in courage in this moment? And courage may be, I'm going to apologize first, and I can just say, you know what, I'm so sorry. I'm stressed out and I shouldn't have responded in that way. Don't worry about the dishes. We'll get it tomorrow. And that could actually be courage of actually letting go of something that normally would feel like control for me. Yeah. And also humbling myself and dying to myself and my pride. And that's also another level of courage. And then I could be like, hey, you know what? I was just reminded of our word of the year. How did that come to play for you in this? And what it does is it creates this safe verbiage.
Shared vision. It's a shared thing that you're in.
And then it helps you to not feel like conflict is scary anymore, because now you see the purpose in conflict. Oh, wow, look at how we showed courage to one another in that. And so again, it's that anchor that it can diffuse conflict and it can diffuse stress and it can help you move forward. It's a compass. It's the direction.
Yep. And so that's a great practical use of that, because that's exactly where that happens. That's exactly where you use it, because you can use it in all things, everywhere. And it's not, again, like you said, it's the compass. It's not the all fixer, but it keeps you on the same, you are rowing in the same
Yes,
direction.
you're on the same path. You're going the same way. You might have a little mix up or whatnot, but it's not devastating
Yeah,
to you. A word of the year is just a good tool.
absolutely.
It's in the worksheet on how to create this plan. It's, what are we leaving behind? What are we taking with us? And then what is the word, and what does that word mean to our marriage?
Yeah, and some practical things with even coming up with a word, and it's all going to be in the worksheet. It'll kind of
Mm-hmm.
walk you through that. But each spouse comes up with 2 or 3 words, and you kind of discuss what the marriage needs. Right? This is
Mm-hmm.
all part of communication again.
It is.
All part of talking
Always
about
bringing it
what we
back.
need. Right? And then also looking for words that stretch you, because what you'll find is when you are working together and wanting to be unified in the direction of your marriage, you'll be surprised on how you each kind of have your words you want to come up with, and then you come together. You'll find some crossover,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll really start to know, like, oh, there's the power right there.
Yeah.
This is going to be, this is going to be the real power moment. And so so you come up with those words, you come together, and then you choose pray. I would encourage praying, and then you choose your word together, and then that is I love that we're doing this. I love because the word of the year is just wonderful, and so you'd then choose that word, and then that would be your word for the next 12 months of really going for it.
And in the worksheet too, after you've chosen your word, you're also going to discuss with your spouse, what does that mean in our intimacy? What does that mean in, our just regular relationship, and what does that mean in conflict? So it's like, it also has like a couple prompts to where it's like, how does that word incorporate into these other scenarios in our life?
Don't be scared of any of this. It's
No,
really it's so
it's so good and so practical.
yeah. There is no right or wrong way. This is just examples of what vision together, looking forward to 2026 looks like. And then you just live it out,
Yeah.
right? You check in probably whatever iteration you want. You can
Quarterly.
quarterly, monthly,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just whatever you want to do. It's just continuing to put it in front of you, and there's practical ways to do that each of you will figure out how to do that. But the important thing is start the process. Look for a good 2026, and you can be intentional, about it to where 2026 could be the best year of your life.
Yeah, because ultimately an intentional marriage is just really being grounded in
Absolutely.
just like ordinary moments. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like these like grand all moments. It's really being intentional about ordinary things, and that's what creates a really great marriage. I think sometimes we get caught up in the showiness of a relationship or of a marriage, but it's like, really, it's just all about just those simple ordinary moments that really are focused and based on intention.
And what this word does too is very similar to what you're saying, is that like the daily faithfulness of going after this particular vision matters so much more than these big declarations like
Totally.
dun, da, 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 when really, you remember when we were youth pastors, and we were at camp, and the speaker talked about faithfulness and how, if you don't know anything else, just be faithful, have breakfast, and then be faithful. And that is so true.
Then you're having lunch.
Then you're having,
It's those little things.
Just keep on going, and having that same desire towards the vision of your word of the year is gonna put you on a path of success. Absolutely guaranteed.
Yeah. I love it. Ultimately, it's all about us, again, choosing conversation, having those things. What are we leaving behind? What are we bringing in? What's our focus and our anchor for 2026? And really moving in the same direction, and just
Powerful.
and
Absolutely
love
powerful.
each other, encourage one another, like just be each other's best and biggest cheerleaders every day.
Progress, not perfection.
Yes. Like celebrate those little
the
moments.
progress.
So anything else to say?
Nope. Close it out.
I love this.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah. Happy New Year. It's going to be a good one. We know it.
Going to be a great year. Happy 2026. Make sure to pop on to our website and download that free resource
Yes.
of that worksheet to
Yep.
work through in the new year. Get your word of the year. Share with us the
We
word
would
of the year.
love your word of the year. Please.
Comment. Follow us on social media. And like always, stay tuned to our next week's episode where we take, the new year and the word of the year, and we're bringing an Enneagram spin to it. So
Ooh, love
make
that.
sure to check that out. And like always, just follow us, like us, do all the things.
Please like us.
All right. See you guys next week.
See ya.